Principles and guidelines for flap designs. So what are the principles and guidelines for flap designs? So the first point is all surgical instruments used for cutting or incising must be sharp and appropriate in size. Appropriate size. So all surgical instruments used for cutting or incising must be very sharp and appropriate size. And the second point is firm continuous stroke. So firm continuous strokes should be used when incising the tissue. It is the second point. And third point is avoid cutting the vital structure like nerves, vessels, etc. So avoid cutting vital structure. And the fourth point is instruments should be perpendicular to the epithelial tissue. So this angle will create sharp wound edges. If it will create a sharp wound edges, then the healing is very easy and it produces minimal scar tissue formation. So it is very important. So instruments should be perpendicular to the epithelial tissue. It is the fourth point. And the fifth one is, so long incisions are used. What are the advantages of long incisions? So the first one is give better access and it is easy in tissue separation, and they also heal faster. So give better access and easy in tissue separation and heal faster. And the sixth point is avoid horizontal and severely angled vertical incision. So gingiva course parallel to the long axis of the teeth. So the flap shrinks extensively if we using this angled vertical incision. So it produces extensive tension is placed on the soft tissue, so it resulting in the tearing of the suture. So it subsequently it produces scar formation. So avoid horizontal and severely angled vertical incision. And the seventh point is avoid incision over bony eminences. Normally there is a radicular eminences present in the canine area. So there is a fenestration. So the cortical bone are covered by a very thin bone with a poor blood supply. This bone defect may lead to soft tissue fenestration if incision are made over them. So vertical incision should be made parallel to the long axis of the teeth and always placed over solid interdental bone. So it is very important, vertical incision should be parallel to the long axis of the teeth and always placed over solid interdental bone. And the eighth point is incision should be placed and flaps reposition over solid bone. It is also very important. So if there is a absence of solid good solid bone to support the reposition edges of the mucoperiosteal flap, so it result in the inadequate blood supply leading to necrosis, so and sloughing of the soft tissue. And the ninth point is avoid incision across major muscle attachment. If we place the incision across the major muscle attachment, the repositioning of the flap is very difficult and healing also is producing secondary intention. So there is a scar formation. So it is avoided by including the muscle attachment within the flap. So the 10th point is the principle is tissue retractor must rest on the solid bone. It is very important. The extension of the vertical incision should be sufficient to allow the tissue retractor to sit on the solid bone. So thereby leaving the site of the surgery that is well exposed. So inadequately extended vertical incision will produce tendency for the retractor to traumatize the mucosal tissue at the base of the flap. So and may defect the blood supply also. So we have to give long incision. And the 11th point is provide adequate visual and operative access with minimal soft tissue trauma. So the horizontal incision for mucoperiosteal flaps usually extend 1 or 2 teeth lateral to the tooth to be treated. So this provides adequate access and minimize the tension and stretching of the tissue. So we have to give long incision for providing the adequate visual and the operative access. And the 12th point is never split the involved interdental papilla. So if we give vertical incision, it should intersect the horizontal incision and terminate in the intrasulcular area at the mesial or distal line angle of the tooth. So the involved interdental papilla should never be split by vertical incision or intersect the horizontal incision in the mid root of the area. So it can be either be included or excluded in the flap design. And the 13th point is involve the entire mucoperiosteum. So the flap should include entire mucoperiosteum, that is marginal gingiva, interdental papilla, and attached gingiva, and alveolar mucosa and periosteum. So the full thickness flap result in less surgical trauma, and there is a better surgical hemostasis. So the maintenance of the supraperiosteal blood vessels and that the supply this tissue. So we have to use mostly full thickness flap for better blood supply. And the 14th point is the apex of the flap should be never be wider than the base. So the apex is narrow than the base. So except if there is a major artery present in the base, there is a apex is wider than the base, and flap sides should be parallel to each other and are convergent from the base. And the 15th point is the length of the flap should be no more than the twice of the width of the base. So the length of the flap should be no more than twice the width of the base. It is 15th point. And 16 is an axial blood supply should be included in the base of the base of the flap. And the 17th point is the base of the flap should not be overly stretched or twisted. So the axial blood supply should be included in the base of the flap, and base of the flap should not be overly stretched or twisted. So these are the principles of flap.